Okay, this is revision, Year 8, circles. In the first question, we're asked what part of the circle is shaded. So we can see all this section here is shaded. We have a line here. This line is called a chord, and the area in here is shaded, and it's actually called a segment. So the answer for question 1 is a segment. In the second question, the perimeter of a circle, we have to see what it's called. Now we know that the perimeter of a shape is the outside, it's the distance around the shape. So the perimeter of this circle is the outside of the circle, and its special name is called the circumference. So our answer there is circumference to question 2. In question 3, you have to name these parts of the circle. In this first part, we just want this little bit there. It's only a part of the circle, and it's called an arc. In the second diagram, it's like we've got a piece of pie or a piece of pizza, and that part of a circle is called a sector. In the third diagram, we have a special type of sector. It's like a special piece of pie or pizza cut out of the circle. It's a special sector because it's a quarter of that circle, and it's called a quadrant. And in this fourth diagram here, we want to know what the name of this line is. This line that goes from one point of the circle to the other point of the circle. It's got a special name as well, and it is called a chord. So that's question 3 completed. Now in question 4, we're told that we have a circle with a diameter of 8 centimetres. So I'll just draw in a circle there. So we've got a circle. The diameter is the distance from one end of the circle to the other end of the circle, but passing through the centre. So that's the diameter there. If that diameter is 8 centimetres, then we have to see how long the radius is. Now radius is just half of the diameter. The radius goes from the centre of the circle to the outside. So if the diameter is 8, then the radius will be 8 divided by 2, which is 4. So our answer to this question is that the radius is 4 centimetres. Now looking at question 5, it says which one of these formulas is correct. Now C stands for the circumference. So option A is that circumference equals pi d. Option B, circumference equals 2 pi d. Option C, circumference equals pi r. And option D, circumference equals pi r squared. Now whenever a question asks you about the circumference, there are 2 different formulas for circumference, and the 2 formulas are circumference equals pi d, pi times d, or circumference equals 2 pi r. So if you have the diameter of a circle, you use the first formula, circumference equals pi d. If you've been given the radius of a circle, you use circumference equals 2 pi r. So just seeing if one of those formulas there is the same as either of these 2 formulas, we can see that the answer is going to be A. So circumference equals pi d. So A is our answer. So I've just highlighted here that circumference equals pi d, so our answer is A. In question 6, we are asked to, which length is the diameter of this circle. Now, is AD the diameter of the circle? Remember, the diameter has to pass from one side of the circle to the other through the centre. AD is not a diameter. AD is actually what we call a chord. AC is a diameter because it passes from one side of the circle to the other, and it passes through the centre. So AC is actually the diameter of this circle. So I'll just write here that the diameter is equal to AC. If you want to look at what the others are, AB is actually a radius because AB goes from the centre of the circle to the outside. BC is also a radius from the center of the circle to the outside. And also BD, that is also a radius from the center of the circle to the outside of the circle. So the one that we want is, the diameter is AC. In question 7, we're asked for this circle over here, what is the radius? Now remember, the radius goes from the center of the circle to the outside of the circle, and this little line here goes from the center of the circle to the outside of the circle. So that means that that little line there is the radius, and on the diagram we can see that the radius is 5 centimeters. So our answer there is A, that the radius is 5 centimeters. Now with question 8, you're asked what the circumference of the circle is. Now, when you see the question and it says, what is the circumference of the circle? As soon as you see the word circumference, you should automatically think, well, what are my formulas for circumference of a circle? Now, there are actually 2 formulas for the circumference of a circle. The 2 formulas are circumference equals pi d or circumference equals 2 pi r. So you have to decide which of these 2 formulas you're going to use. And the way that you decide is that you look at the diagram that they've given you, and you look at whether they've given you the radius r or the diameter d. And in this question, we look at our circle and we can see that we've got the radius r. So what we do, we look at our question and we say, okay, I know that the radius r is 5 centimeters. So that means I know that I have to use the formula circumference equals 2 pi r because I know that my radius is 5. So I'm just going to write that information there. So what we do, we write out the formula then, circumference equals 2 pi r, and then we start to calculate the circumference. So I'll just write it here. Circumference equals 2 pi r, and that really means circumference equals 2 times pi times whatever the radius is, and in this case it's 5. So then we get our calculator out and we go 2 times pi times 5, and I'm just going to give the answer here to 2 decimal places, and if I just do that on my calculator, 2 times pi times 5, I get 31.42 centimeters, because our units are centimeters, and we see which answer is the same as that, and the answer that's correct is answer C. Now in question 9, we're asked to find the area of this circle here. So as soon as you see the word area of a circle, you should automatically write down what the formula for the area of a circle is, and there is only one formula for the area of a circle, and that is area equals pi r squared. You then need to look at your question and see if you've got r or d. And in this question, we've got r, the radius, and r equals 5. So I'm just going to write that down as well. So I've just written down here that r, the radius, equals 5 centimeters. So now I'm able to complete this question. So we know, of course, that area is pi r squared. I'll just put this area is pi r squared over here, so that when you look at the question, what is the area of the circle, you should automatically be thinking, okay, I need to write down the formula for the area, which is area is pi r squared. Then over here I'll do my working. So we write out the formula, area equals pi r squared, and that means that area equals pi times r squared, and we substitute in what r is, and the r is 5. Then we go to our calculator and we go pi times 5 squared, and we get the answer 78.54 centimeters squared. So our answer for question 9 is A. Now looking at question 10. And question 10 says, find the circumference of this circle here. As soon as you see a question saying find the circumference, you'll know that you should know that there are 2 formulas for circumference that you can choose. And the 2 formulas are circumference equals pi d or circumference equals 2 pi r. Now you have to learn those formulas. So you then have to also decide which of those 2 formulas you will use. Now you look at your diagram and you see what information you have. Do you have R or do you have D? It looks like you have the diameter in this question, so I'm just going to put here that I have that D equals 7 centimeters. So I should therefore use the first formula, that circumference equals pi D. So I'm going to write that out over here. So I start my working saying circumference equals pi D, which means circumference equals pi times 7. I then do that on my calculator and I get that the circumference is 21.99. Remember, circumference is the distance around the circle, so it'll be just in units of length. So I can write circumference is 21.99 centimeters, and that means that answer C here is correct.